Welcome to Bigfoot
and the Bunny.
This is a couple's journey into the mysterious,
the unknown, and the paranormal.
I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm your host, Kristen Johnson.
Together we are Bigfoot and the Bunny.
And we're live. Happy Saturday from Bigfoot and the Bunny. I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm Kristen Johnson. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. And we are off to a slightly late start. No big deal. I don't want to say that phrase, we're chasing our tails. Not allowed to say that. She punishes me when I say that now. And, it's a little true because we were up very late watching TV, and we watched John Yost, who was our guest last week on Dark Horse Paranormal's Alien Abduction Answers was the name of his documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And we were really excited to see this thing, and it came out this week, and we wanted to wait for a good night for us to watch it both. And we can assure you it is really, really good.
It is excellent.
So if you're into alien abduction phenomena, Whitley Strieber is in this thing. John himself, who was a fabulous guest, and you can see that interview in the archives of pretty much any platform you're watching us on. Go ahead and rent it. You know, it's on Amazon Prime. It's on all the major platforms. Vudu, which has a cool name, right?
Mm-hmm.
VUDU though. Vudu. I think it was only like $4.99, $3.99 to rent, and I bought it for, I don't know, $12 or something. I just ended up buying it because I figured I'd probably watch it more than once.
Yeah, we will.
And it'd be worth it. And it was. In fact, we want to let him know if he's out there watching. John, great job. Awesome documentary. Really well done. Top notch.
Mm-hmm.
And a little different than the standard alien abduction documentaries that we have seen. Enjoyed the hell out of that. We also watched the Mike Myers series that's on Netflix. So you guys seen this? It's about kind of like conspiracy and stuff. It's really funny. Pentavertebrate, I think is the name of it. Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. And we got hooked. And those are short little bits too. I think it was only 6 episodes, and they're like somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes long. And we went up, watched through all that. So pretty funny. Good to see Mike Myers out there. Of course, he plays like 100 different characters in the thing, you know, it's written, directed, and he likes to do that and be like several of the characters. He even does a few nods to his previous movies in it, and that was pretty cool.
It was cute.
It was definitely cute. But we've got an awesome guest for you guys today, and let's tell you a little bit about him real quick. A lot of you guys will know who he is. We keep up some chats, and they're very extensive.
The ParaUnity family.
The ParaUnity family, absolutely. I believe the chat is currently called Hell Me, but it was Swamp Thing Talk, I believe. Prior to that, the names change. People's names change. He is the host of Paranormal Swamp Talk, The Petrie Dish, The Unholy Trinity. He is the owner of something new we're going to talk about called Hey Boo. He is Mr. Howard Pitre. Welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny, Howard.
Well, hello there. How y'all doing?
Saturday. How are you, my friend?
Oh, aggravated, tired, need some sleep, need to shut down. But, of course, getting married in 2 weeks, so that's not happening anytime soon.
Congratulations.
And that looks to be an amazing thing. We met your future wife recently in an offline chat, and had a great conversation.
Yeah, we had fun that night. It was good.
She's wonderful.
Yes, she is.
She's awesome. Sometimes, but she's in listening distance too. She's in listening.
She understands.
Oh,
she don't.
But congratulations. We think that is great, and that's got to be keeping you pretty busy right now. And I know you imagine you're nervous and all kinds of stuff is going on.
Oh, yeah.
But that is great. So we're happy. Now you have 3 different shows, to my knowledge.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've got any secret shows on the side.
No, actually, the only one that I actually came up with, it's been about about 6 months, I think. That I came up with the concept of Hey Boo. It was. I just wanted. I was thinking to myself, I see a lot of these podcast shows, and I don't see any shows. There's one or two of them that just talks about just women in general. And I decided, well, let's get some women in here for 4-person panel, and let them talk anything they want to talk about women in the paranormal. I mean, have women come on the show as guests, and sometimes, from what I'm hearing, it's rough for a woman to be in the paranormal because it's a man's business, and they're breaking in, and a lot of wives and couples, and why not have something like that, and let them come out there and tell them their battles and their struggles and things of that nature, being in the paranormal field, and how they take their man's wallet and go buy paranormal equipment and things of that nature. But well, no, a lot of them just joking on that.
That's right. And you are a funny guy, right? I mean, these conversations can get a little outrageous for those of you who don't out there in the audience don't know you. You like to have fun, like to have a good time on the radio. We totally appreciate that. We've got a sense of humor as well that we try to work in. It just depends. If it's just us goofing around, we can get a little crazy, but sometimes with the guests, you just got to kind of be like,
we get crazy now. I mean, we really get crazy.
Nuts.
It's one of those types. I mean, I have the 3 shows, and the first one is Paranormal Swamp Talk, and of course, it's out there in the paranormal community. What's going on with me as individual, and I'm not going to come out and speak negative about anybody. I believe in para-unity. I believe that we can work together. And the ones who are out there running their mouths and things like that, let them run it. Let them talk whatever they want to talk. So I'm just steering clear of all that stuff. I don't need that negativity in my life. So that's what I'm doing with that. But I do have the 3 shows, and I had to revamp a couple of them because of what happened to us. One of them was my flagship show, which is Paranormal Swamp Talk, because that's a show that represents our investigation team, and it was pretty standard podcast show. We have great guests come on there, and we talk about just about anything and everything would have to deal with the paranormal. It was basically I was trying to get people from the southern regions to come in because it's swamp talk. Of course, you have parts of Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, going up the East Coast, like the Carolinas and stuff. They have swamps. And anything that has to do with the paranormal and being in the South. Sometimes, a lot of times we got away from things, but like I said, we had to redo our hosts on the show. And I'm proud to say that I have a host on those shows is Miss Chrissy Baggett and Mr. Scott Wilson, formerly of the 13th Dimension. So he's going to be joining us, and that's going to be our show. And I'm changing the format. It's going to be a little out there for us. So something that Paranormal Swamp Talk never did before. So we're going to be a little bit more out there and have a little bit more fun with it. The Petrie dish, it was a concept that was brought to me. And what I wanted to do with it, they said, you ought to do another show. And of course, I had the name thrown at me. And I said, well, I guess I'll work with it. And nobody would help me. It was my second show, and I'm already had this first show. So I really didn't know what to do, as in running a show like this. And my vision was to have Jerry Springer, Maury Povich in the paranormal have a baby, and that was the show I wanted. So I went with it.
That's awesome.
And I had hosts with me, and of course I didn't get any help from them. And so, if you ever seen the logo of the Petrie dish, it says "Please stand by." So I thought of that old 50s thing, 60s, and we had always something happened to the television set. It says, "Please stand by." Mm-hmm. So I went with that, and I was getting ready to go live like we just did just a while ago. And I had the host come to me and, what's the topic tonight? Well, please stand by. And then they would ask me, who's the guest? Well, I don't know. Let's please stand by. So it was always a surprise, even to the host, that what we're going to do. And the very first show, it was classic. Uh, uh, the very first subject asked, "What was the subject tonight?" And it was live, and I said, "Well, it popped in my head. We're going to talk about venereal diseases." And it was like, well, what that's got to do with the paranormal? Now, mind you, at that time, the podcast shows were all about paranormal. And I wanted to have fun. And I said, well, they asked me, what's paranormal about? And I said, well, ghost crabs. Do you feel them after they're gone? So, I mean, it was like poltergeist infestation, you know?
Yeah. No, this is right for an ectoplasm joke as well.
So we went with that. And, of course, I didn't have my hosts were like totally off guard. They were just caught off guard. They were like, "What?" And, oh no, we got to change it up, and we had a whole bunch of stuff. And then I came up with the idea with the Unholy Trinity, and that was because I met Chrissy Baggett, and I was introduced to Ricky Hellert. I brought him in one time for a show, and we had a blast. And it was on the Petrie dish, and we had a whole entire show about corn. We call it the Corn Show. And trust me, that
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Corn like
maize here.
Real corn.
Corn. Okay.
Corn on the cob.
Oh, we like the band too. So
it was many uses for the word corn we used that day, and that's been a hit show. So I said, well, Ricky, let's do something together. Let's collaborate. And I said, fine. And then of course I met Chrissy, and she was, oh my goodness, when she comes up with she's a straight shooter Midwestern woman, and everything was to her. She was very forward, and it was like, listen, she get her attention. Listen, sir, I love that. And we worked her in, and we rolled with it. We just had a show just like that. And here recently, the show has been getting more and more vulgar. It's not by choice. It's just I'll come up with a subject, and it's like that show is like a fat kid in a candy store that needs Adderall because he has ADHD. Just let him go, and that's what we do. We just let it go. And we've had different shows like recently we had, thank you, Courtney Peterson, the Banana Show, and the many uses of Chrissy told me on that show. She said, "I'll never look at frozen bananas with chocolate on a stick again the same way." And that was like the end of that. And we talked about many bizarre.
I don't think I've ever seen that like on GoStop.com.
No.
Frozen bananas.
No.
Maybe they should start selling those in packages.
Oh man, it wasn't used for no paranormal experience. I could tell you that. But we've talked about so many different things on that show, and it's been crazy. It's been we had popped up on and I hope this is all right to say this, but we had a show, half a show rather. It dealt with preparing, cooking, and eating cow and horse vaginas.
Oh.
And I had to turn my head at that.
Scrapple? Is that what they call scrapple in some areas of the country?
I don't know what they call it, and I don't want to know what they call it, because I was like, I just turned my head and I couldn't watch it no more. I mean, it was like that disgusting.
But I've seen it in the market, and I remember my father used to talk about it, growing up, and they were fairly poor growing up, and they would talk about eating scrapple, but I don't know if they had packaged it. I mean, they use every part of the animal, so. And there's probably good ways to do it. You could go in a gourmet restaurant, and get yourself a little cow vagina, I suppose, prepared in a way you would never know what it was.
Oh my God!
Oh, that's okay. They can keep it.
Comments on the audience, so we're kind of interesting. Our friend Lorianne Sweet says, "Hey, some practice spectrophilia, and that is when a human mates with a discarnate or tries to. The human might have VD. Hope the apparition is using protection." And just before that, while you were talking, she had mentioned, was it me or did someone see an apparition cross behind a guest? I know he felt it because he looked over his shoulder. Now, I got to say, I did see your dog in the background.
I got one that's sitting up on the couch right there.
Could be the puppy. Could be the puppy, but
it could be, because I have another one that sits. That's a border collie that's on the side right here. But that's not uncommon. I'm gonna tell you. Is that Lori?
Lori. That's our friend.
I've had shows when I've done this. I was showing off of a new device that was created. He's a very talented inventor. It's Mr. Stewart, Jesse Stewart over at D's Ghosts. He made me a Jacob's ladder with a built-in EMF pump.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it on right here, and I had people sending me pictures. Right in this side right here, I had an apparition that actually formed.
Really?
On camera.
Oh, that's cool. And for those of us who don't know, the Jacob's ladder is kind of like those. It looks like two antennas, almost like rabbit ears. And electricity, you'll see it jump from side to side, right? It's kind of in a V shape. Is that right?
Correct.
So you had that kind of thing set up with it.
Well, it was a small one. It's a small one. The antennas are about that big because you don't want something huge where we just wanted something just to charge a room. And of course, spirit usually feeds off of that stuff, and it helps them gain power, and they can actually form funny. Or we use it for like when we do EVPs. So it wasn't a dog. Well, then again, you might have seen something because I had another incident where you could see my fiance walk behind me, and behind her there was a dark, I guess you call it a shadow person, possibly following behind her. So I do have my house is haunted. They had 3 groups of investigators that came out, and it's extremely active. I mean, I did the history on the place, on the property, and it's extremely active. A lot of history here. A lot of history.
I don't doubt that. We've had activity in our studio too, and sometimes it's with guests. And that just reminds me, we were doing a thing with our cat balls. The
poor cats.
Paranormal tool in the world.
Poor cats.
The poor cats.
I feel bad for them.
Lori said, by the way, that wasn't a dog, and she does have a really good eye for these things. We've talked to Lori extensively, and she has seen stuff around us, and it's proved out. But one moment. What? Oh, we talk. I'm just going to throw a couple of these on.
Sorry. So
That's
I'm
okay.
trying to get the pages up, and thank you, Courtney Peterson, for helping here with the moderation. Because,
That's my brother. He's at the bottom.
This page, for some reason, does not like us. So.
Scotty.
They tend to be a little entertainment area in and of themselves.
He says,
that you have a lot of aquatic entities.
There you go.
Aquatic entity. Demonologist. Sorry, can't speak. I'm still on my second coffee.
And the back is pretty cool. He's got some stuff wrote on the back. It's, I don't know if you can see
Oh, jeez.
I love it. For those listening, on the back of his shirt is appears to be a toilet, a plunger, and it says when and it is a poop emoji gets real.
That's right.
So you are the man to call. So you are a demonologist.
Yes, I am.
And that is something we wanted to talk about, like what got you into demonology, and so maybe talk about some historic cases or cases you've worked on. What was the attraction to demonology for you?
That's weird. I have a lamp right here, and this does this every once in a while. If I start talking about demonology and stuff, for some reason, I have a lamp right here that's in my window. It goes off. It just goes off. It shuts itself off.
Had that problem as well.
But that was my fault.
What got me into it is when they did an investigation of my home. They took one photo of the front of my house, and people who believe in orbs, there's multicolored orbs out there meaning different things. It looked like somebody took a handful of Skittles and threw them in my yard. There was a black mist that was coming out of the ground around my bird bath, and they had little orbs in it. Then you can actually see towards the back of my property, there was a huge misty thing, and I said the same thing. I agree with all the, a lot of people had seen this picture. It was a portal, and it's a portal that's remained open. But on top of my house, they took a picture, and there was an orb, and below the orb there was a mist, and in the mist you could see this triangle looking figure, and it had 3. You can see the horns very distinctive. They go backwards. There were 3 of them, one in the center, 2 that came straight to the back like that. and it's like misty, and then you see a long, it looks like a leg, and at the end of the leg you can actually see a hoof. So we believe that's something evil that's here, that might have been something attached to the property or something like that. On Sundays we would hear, every Sunday morning, me and I'll say the wife now, we can hear something walk from the middle of our living room all the way down to our bedroom. And you can just hear toot, 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 toot. And a lot of people say, well, maybe it's a squirrel. No, this is too heavy for a squirrel. Plus, squirrels are four-legged. This was definitely a two-legged something walking on my roof. So
it's like Krampus. That's really bizarre.
Yeah, that sounds creepy.
Yeah.
Lorianne says, I have no interest in visiting your home.
Well, I've had disembodied voices before. We have that all the time. We have a music box that plays in the house. We don't own a music box. It plays the same song. I was walking into my kitchen, and the kitchen table chair just pulled out and faced me. And if I had a camera, that would have been the most remarkable thing you've ever saw. But it just pulled out and it faced me. And most people would be like, holy crap. No, I just looked at it and just walked up to it and put the chair back. I mean, it's what you do, because you see this stuff constantly.
You
my
start
daughter,
to get used to it, right? It's like it becomes like, all right, well, there it is again. Kind of thing.
We had activity before, and it wasn't this bad, but my daughter passed away in October of 2019. She committed suicide in my home.
I'm sorry.
She was in her second trimester of pregnancy when she did it. And ever since then, I haven't been able to grieve properly, because when I start, she's there. And I've seen her since this is 2020 when it started. I've seen her 4 times in my house, full body apparitions. And I've even got a picture of one where you can see her in a lot of people don't believe in reflections, but you can distinctively see her face. And it was crazy. We still, like I said, I've had a Reiki master come out, did what he had to do. I had a shaman. I even had a Catholic priest come out and bless the property and the house. And I've got all kinds of stuff for protection. I got prayer cards, medallion, little religious medals all around the house. I spiked my property. Had voodoo priestess tell me what to do and what not to do. And I did everything, but the property just won't give it up. It won't be at peace for some reason. So I don't know.
Well, that is a lot going on there.
Something attached to the land.
You know,
I'm hoping it's not an elemental. That's that's one of the.
That may be better than say like a ley line or something like that.
Well, that's another thing. We have actually a river that runs underneath our house.
Oh, yeah, the running water. Possibility. That's
a lot of attraction and
energy.
Energy to see. Yeah, I can see that. It's poltergeist activity. It's a lot. Like you said, it could be a portal, and it does sound like it.
It very well could be. Now, we've established what the aquatic entity portion of things was, because I actually was curious about that. I didn't know that. Now that I see the toilet, I get the aquatic, the swimmers.
That's an inside joke. Oh, it started as an inside joke.
The house is haunted.
Well, actually, I did a show, and we were talking about different types of demons, and I came up. This is a real demon now. They have what they call a fecal demon or a shit demon. It's a real thing. It was created right when the death of Christ. Of course, when you you're getting hung on a cross and you're dying, and when you die, your body just releases everything, and it goes to the bottom of these crosses, and that's where evil made its name that from right there. It's called a sulak, and it's a toilet demon. It's a fecal demon, and everybody was telling me, "Oh, you're full of poo," ain't no such thing, and so I had to bring in my mentor, my friend, my mentor, Carl Johnson.
Oh, we know Carl very well.
Yeah, he's a matter of fact, you ever seen his Mardi Gras beads and stuff like? I sent that to him.
Oh,
Those big beads and all that stuff.
Carl is up from our area.
Yeah,
we're in Rhode Island. So yeah,
very intelligent man, and he's been around for a long time. He's been on some of the best known investigations out there. Of course, the Conjuring House and what is it called?
Him and Keith, his twin brother Keith, were the first people to go into the Conjuring House, and they were the ones that recommended that Ed and Lorraine Warren come in because they weren't sure they could deal with it. I believe they were just in college at the time. So.
And then they went into, I believe, he's been in Amityville House. He's been in a lot of places that are well known. First one's there, if not the first one, one of the first ones there. So he's well established in the community. And I brought him on, and he had to tell him, yes, there is a shit demon, basically. Everybody was like, huh? So we talked about it, and I was talking to another real good friend of mine, Stephen Woodard. He's like family, and he came to me and said, Howard, no more talk about toilet demons. I said, okay. So I changed it up, me being me. So I turned it into a sport at that point, and I called it brown trout fishing. When I had little pictures of kids fishing out of their toilets and people standing with their foot on the toilet holding a fish and stuff like that. And he got mad at me for that. So I said, okay, all right, no worry. I changed it to aquatic entity demonologist, and that's stuck ever since.
And what was the name of that demon again? I'm just going to just
Sulak. S-U-L-A-K.
We've heard that before.
Yeah, it does sound familiar. I do see our friend Ken Allen is out in the audience.
The wizard.
Who is actually on his way to the Conjuring House soon. He's going to be up this way. We're looking forward to getting together with Ken from the Wizard's Table podcast. And he may know a thing about Sulak as well. Well, we'll talk about that because that's very interesting. So it was inspired or attracted to. Do you think this was like a something the demon just wanted, like a token, a tribulation to the demon? The basically the crap at the bottom of the cross, or
I don't know. I mean, it was just something that formed. Like I said, if anyone comes up to you and tells you that if they are an expert in anything in this field, they are full of crap. They are full of Sulak. Let's go down. Okay.
Nobody has all the answers. We totally agree. The beautiful part of doing shows like this is that we get to talk to so many people, and I'm sure you understand this, and get their insights into whatever their experiences are, and how they view things, or what that like I said, their experience, what they might have experienced in these sort of situations. And because there is no one book, there is no one person, even somebody like Carl that you mentioned, I mean, there are things that are mysterious to Carl. We don't have all the answers, so it's an ongoing quest, and that's part of the passion of it all, I'm sure. It is for you as it is for us. So,
I mean, I'm gonna go back and I'll tell you this much, and I'm going full disclosure here. I'm gonna put this out there, and I don't want it to be a secret to anybody or anything. When I first saw Bigfoot and the Bunny, I didn't like the show. It wasn't my taste, and I said, I don't like the show. I just don't. And I gave it a couple of months later, and I started watching. I said, I'm going to give it another. And I said, man, they are good. I like it. It was just maybe that one show I saw it. It wasn't that, it was just somebody was on that you had as a guest, and I just didn't like that guest. And I didn't even know the guest, but just to hear it speaking and stuff, it was like I didn't like her at all. But that wasn't fair to y'all. And that's what I said. Well, I'm going to watch the show, and ever since then, I've been a fan of your show. So, I mean, kudos to y'all.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Glad we could turn your ways.
Yes.
Well, it kind of. Like the show, like you, it actually calms me down. It gives me time to think, and to hear so much information that y'all get out there. It's awesome. It is. It's awesome.
We have a wide variety of guests. We don't always focus on paranormal. We go into ufology, psychic phenomena, and other things because we do believe they're all related. Right. And there are lines that you can draw between all of them, and we're all trying to figure it out. And sometimes we call on one thing or another. And I'm sure there are people out there who go, "Yeah, you guys are talking, get another psychic," and we wanted to hear, Ghost Box or something. And sorry, we think there's something to that too. That's valid. and that it's all tied together. And maybe eventually we'll figure out those hows and whys, because that is kind of like our quest. We want to know why these happen. Why do these entities exist? Why does the discarnate walk the house? Why? I hear theories all the time. Well, earthbound spirit, this, that. Could be lots of things. Hey, my coffee's starting to kick in.
There you go. There you go. I'm happy for you. Because I didn't have 3 cups, and I mean, the only thing it did was I had to go to the bathroom a couple more times. That was it.
What got you into the paranormal initially?
Initially, I've been in the paranormal field. I've recently been introduced to the world of podcasting, but I've been in the paranormal field for 30 plus years. My first paranormal experience was when I was about 5 years old, and I was laying in my parents' living room, and I woke up just out of a sound sleep, and I seen my great grandfather standing in front of me, and his face was like right in my face, and I was like, and he just dissipated. So I went running and screaming into my parents' room, and I woke my mom up, and she said, "Don't worry about it. That's your grandpa. He's asking for prayers." And that was my very first paranormal experience. And ever since, I've been very interested in it. As a matter of fact, since it's Mother's Day Sunday, my mother was the one who actually encouraged me into the paranormal, not so much the paranormal field, but looking into the paranormal. Like she would let me watch spooky shows, or we would talk about aliens and things of that nature. And she, like Sundays with Saturday mornings, you'd have the cartoons, but Sundays you would have Godzilla movies on. I would watch Godzilla all day long.
That's right.
So I mean, it just got me into it.
Creature double feature.
That's what they called it up here. Yeah.
Yep.
So I did that for a little while, for about 20 years, and then I got out of it, and then I done some work for MUFON, and did a little bit of that, and then I got out of it, and the passing of my daughter and the things that were happening in my house, I said, well, you never, as a paranormal investigator, you're never supposed to investigate your own home, because that's tainted evidence. You can be biased about it. But I wanted to do it, and I wanted to see what was going on here. So that's why I invited 3 different teams from 3 different parts of actually the South. And they came in and did this investigation here, and all 3 teams, like, your place is highly, highly active. And I said, well, that's great. Thumbs up for Howie. I found a great piece of property. But like I said, I did a lot of research on the property, and the research came up that the very first thing that happened here was the War of Independence. You would think it'd just be the 13 colonies. Well, actually, you had Spain and Britain was trying to come up through this way, and of course, Spain owned it at the time. And there was a big battles between them through here.
Being in Louisiana, just for those who don't know. Yeah.
In Louisiana, in the South, yeah. So there was a big battle here. Matter of fact, they have a big plaque. There's a Battle of Lake Pontchartrain where I live, about a British schooner and Americans that came down and used some of the Spanish ships, and they sunk a couple of them right here. Then you had, of course, the American Civil War, which they had a big battles through here because the northern troops were coming in this way, and then of course the southern troops were using the lake as a barrier, and they were skirmishing, and of course it went down on both sides. You have like going through Chalmette and all that way, and then you had going through the other side, which is like Laplace and all that way. They were coming in through that way, so that's how they wound up taking New Orleans. Then you had the 1814 battle. Then you had Spanish-American War that was fought through here. You had, and I mean, you go out to the trees, these older trees, and you see these little knots. And if you sit there and dig in them long enough, you pull out lead balls out of the trees.
Wow.
I've dug up what they call solid shot cannonballs before in my parents' yard. I mean, so that was just there. Then you had the Trail of Tears was about, I'd say it was about maybe 25, 30 miles away from me. So that's
true
there.
Right there.
And then, of course, it was a plantation, and we don't know where the actual, like the slaves, if they were the burial sites for slaves and stuff. We don't know where they at. They've never marked them or anything, so they could be anywhere. And I guess the icing on the cake is that this is also Indian burial ground. I mean, I can go out into the woods and find mounds all over the place, and I just.
Is that right? You have mounds near you?
Oh
yeah, right. They're common up here too, and they're attributed to a lot of the things like the Bridgewater Triangle in our area, though that triangle is far too small. Dating back to like things like King Philip's War, which is like the greatest battle between the white man and the indigenous folk. Terrible, very bloody. You know, that blood does seem to scar the ground. We agree. So you're in quite the area there where you've had so much stuff going on.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, speaking about that blood and all that stuff, we're actually going to be doing a document. It's going to be first we're going to investigate it, and we're thinking about doing like a documentary movie about it. And it's the death of Miss Anne Hathaway here in St. Tammany Parish, and they made a movie about her, well, about the killer anyway. And a lot of people might know this movie. It's called Dead Man Walking with Susan Sarandon and Sean Penn.
Yes.
That movie's based on what happened here. We're going to go. Miss Hathaway is actually buried right here in Mandeville, whereas I'm not going to say his name. I won't give him the pleasure of that. But he's buried. The killer is buried in Covington, which is the next town over. And so we're going to do an investigation at her gravesite, and whatever we get, if we get EVP evidence or anything, we're actually going to bring it to his gravesite and try to see if we can get in touch with him and play her EVPs to him and see what kind of reaction we get out of that. And then we're going to go to the murder site, and we're going to do an investigation there also. So it's a 3-day investigation that we're going to be doing.
Wow, that sounds great. Very fun.
Experiment, right?
Yeah, maybe a little spooky. That's really cool. When you do an investigation, what are your favorite tools?
I like my mail reader. We got from D's Goes. It's Jackie's favorite. I paid a lot for it. It's an Annabelle doll that's actually a REM pod. It looks like Annabelle. I mean, this thing's creepy as hell, but I mean, she loves it though. So we have that. But my favorite tools, I love the mail reader. I like my S box. I have an S box, and
like those.
And I mean, when I'm out in the field, like in the cemeteries and things like that. Of course, you have your cameras and all that stuff. You have your LS. What you call? I'm drawing a mind blank right now. SLSs. You have and all that. You have all your cameras. I have videos and I have all. And then we on the cemeteries and stuff like that. We don't set up a lot of it unless we're getting a lot of good evidence. Then we'll set up more. So we do like a preliminary, and we'll walk around and usually use K2s and mail readers, and then that's when we break out the big boy toys. So.
I like that. And that's a pretty good idea. I like that too. We tend to focus on audio, really just because we don't have a whole lot of video equipment. It's hard to. Right. It's like holy grail to get the whole, full-bodied apparition picture. Yeah. But we need to focus on that a little bit more ourselves. Yeah. But love audio. What about like a digital, audio recorder and doing that sort of thing, asking questions, going for EVPs?
Oh, if you like that, then I was out on. I had John Doherty. He came in one weekend, and this is about a year ago. He came down and he spent a couple of days with me, and we did a local cemetery here, the same one where Miss Hathaway's buried at. And I was sitting on a grave, and the top part was pretty much, it was in English. It's an old grave. These graves date back pre-Civil War. Matter of fact, there's some Civil War soldiers that are even buried there. And then they have modern ones that's buried there also. So you have a mixture of everything. And I was just sitting on the grave, and on this concrete, it's sort of like a concrete, it marks out the outline of the grave. And I was just sitting on one side of it, and John was sitting on the other side, and I said something, and he would mark it. That was Howard saying something. Okay, that way we know what the evidence, keeping true evidence, that because that's the key. Evidence is what's your bread and butter out there, and your integrity. So, like I said, the top part was in English, but the bottom part was like almost like Celtic. And out of the blue, this voice, this deep voice, and it was a man, and it had an accent, and it said, "Get off me tombstone." And Howard just about shat himself. Because it was unexpected, you know. It was like,
Yeah.
in that language and the way it came across, you know, it was very clear, and it was like, wow, you know. And Howard was like, I'm ready, let's go. That's enough for Howard.
Was that something? I'm sorry, you heard in real time, or was it something you played back on a recorder?
This was real time. It was
Real
right
time,
there,
wow.
and then it was recorded because you could hear us go, wow. But he has that piece
That's
of
cool.
evidence, and I've been trying to get it from him. But yeah, it was the most amazing piece of audio evidence I've ever received.
Nice.
Have you ever had an instance where you've had a voice say something to you while you were there and at the time, like out loud, and none of your recorders picked it up?
I've heard whispers. Matter of fact, like I got this big boom, this mic right here, and sometimes you hear things coming through that mic in his house, and it would be like a woman, or it could be anything really. But no, and without equipment, I just don't pay it no mind. I'm focused too much on other things to actually be doing that. I do have other people there, and they've told me they've heard things, but of course, like I'm saying, I'm worried about where the equipment is going to be set up at, and
Sure.
you know,
Yeah,
all this other stuff.
Sometimes to get you while you're setting up the equipment. We've had that experience.
Mhm.
We've had the experience
All
where
the
they,
time.
they seem to like to talk before we're really ready for them to
Yeah.
talk.
Right.
Also, where we've heard things that didn't go to, the
Come through
recorder,
the
and
recorders.
we had an instance. I told the story a lot, but
Yeah, that's why
it was so
wondering if you've
paranormal
ever
where we
experienced
had her wired up to actually this Tascam
Mhm.
recorder
headphones.
with headphones similar to these that were somewhat noise canceling. So she's basically hearing everything through the recorder.
Mhm.
If I talk, she's hearing me through the recorder. It's going through her headphones. She's not hearing background noises. And a voice said, hello, like really loud, went, hello. And it scared the crap out of both of us. And you hear us in the recording jump, like, what the hell was that? And I'm looking around for who it was. And it wasn't in the recorder.
Right.
So we thought that was really weird.
we had another one as
We
well.
think they can be very selective. They can manipulate the actual eardrum or a microphone recorder. Parapsychologist Steve Merritt has a name for that, and I can never remember it. But there is something where they can just manipulate that thing and vibrate it, and it gets on the recorder, but maybe nobody else hears it till you play it back, and that's the reason.
Right.
And that's why I asked if you were
different hypotheses about the thing
as well.
Yeah. Those are that was the most paranormal thing that happened that day, and it was a whole bunch of phenomena going on, but we just thought that was so strange because it was so loud and scared us, and then to not have it on any of the recorders and stuff was like, what the hell just happened?
No, don't get me wrong. Now, I mean, listen to something like that, but I have heard disembodied voices.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll be in one room and like you just heard me before the show yell out for Jackie, but I can be in the bedroom and she can be in the kitchen and the door's shut and everything, and it sounds like she's in the room with me talking. I said, what do you want? What do you want? I asked her what she wants. I didn't say anything, and she said, I thought you was talking to me. So she hears the voices also. So it's something like, it goes in between, and we can both hear it at the same time. There's just some weird stuff like that.
My house is almost the same way, and I love when my son says, "What, Mom?" "Yes, Mom." And I'm like, I didn't say anything. And he says, I heard somebody say, "Hey, Jake." And I'm like, it wasn't me.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. Because I can hear him like, who are you talking to? He says, you. No. It's a little creepy.
It is.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll play some if you don't mind. I mean,
All right.
we shouldn't really be doing this, but since we're talking about the subject, it's kind of funny. That we were setting up to do a spirit box session, and I've got Kristen was at her house, and I was at mine. I had her on speakerphone, and I'm setting up like the recorders and getting the spirit box ready and positioning everything. And the session wasn't that great, that spirit box session, but there were two EVPs while we were setting up, right? And I've got her on speakerphone, and one of them's humorous, so I think you'll appreciate it, and I'll play it for you.
Okay.
This is it says asshole, and
yeah,
I must have heard something in real time because I thought it was Kristen talking. I'm like, yep,
He acknowledged it.
I didn't hear asshole, but I thought she was just talking on the phone.
I would acknowledge it because that's what Jackie, that's her favorite pet name for me.
Right. Or maybe I'm just used to being called that. No.
I am.
So that actually happened, and we played it back. I was like, wow, look at it. And I actually acknowledged that I heard something. I'll play that for you.
Yeah. Okay, so I have the recorder going.
Okay.
Putting on my glasses.
Okay.
And yeah. And yeah. And
Yeah, it likes you.
Yeah.
It's showing love.
I go, yeah. And I looked at the end. That noise you're hearing is this recorder, and it's actually being overdriven by spirit. It's not jacked up for the input or anything. I keep the levels the same. And we got 2 EVPs in like a minute while we were setting up. And then we had like a kind of a crappy spirit box session.
Yeah.
I don't just to stay on the theory here. And the other voice we got, and I didn't hear it in real time, or we didn't hear it, is a voice that says, "I'm gonna say it." And it was just before it called me an asshole.
or this box or that box.
I heard that.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to miss that. And that was what we got on the playback. So that was in our home. So we mentioned like investigating our homes. And I think it is kind of a dangerous thing to do. We don't do it that much anymore. We got real obsessed and we're doing that stuff. And all it did is draw more spirit activity to the point of it being sort of negative, and we had to stop.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
haunted our own selves. It was.
but you can learn to live with it. Like there's a case. Do you remember the movie The Entity from the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a famous paranormal case. It was investigated by Barry Taff. And in that story,
well, the woman that was attacked in that, she lived in California, but she moved to Texas.
Okay. But they got so used to the phenomena, and their kids, the kids have been quoted as saying things like, yeah, we just saw it all the time. We'd be sitting on the couch watching TV and they'd see entities walk by, like, ghosts walk by, and they just would be like, yeah, whatever, ignore it.
And that's what happened. That's what's happening here. I mean, when Jackie's first experience, because she never believed in the paranormal, and we were standing, she was actually in the living room, and she was sweeping or something. And I was on the front porch, and I was on the phone talking to someone, and I came in, and we looked down the hallway, and our bathroom door just shuts by itself, like somebody was walking into it. It would click, it just went shoot. And she looked at me, and she says, "Well, I think it might be my son Trey walking in that part of the house. Maybe he went to the bathroom." And I said, "Well, he's got his own bathroom. Why would he be down there unless he really had to go or something?" And I yelled, I said, Trey, and Trey was up behind us at the other end of the house. "What, Dad?" And she put 2 and 2 together. That woman ran out of the front door so fast, and she was trying to clear our front porch rail. I mean, she was gone. She was out of there. And I said, "Man, Lord."
Yeah.
Sprinting. I can picture her sprinting. Linda Judd said that was a lot of static. No, just to explain, Linda, that is when the recorder sometimes gets touched by spirit. It's done on other occasions. I'd made no changes to it, and the rest of the recording was fine. It was only when the EVPs came that you hear that static and it sounds overdriven.
We have a lot of that, Linda.
So I think it was actually spirit touching. But she mentioned something else here. She says, when I was a toddler, I would hear my name called and I ignored it. And 3 more times my name was called and finally said, "What?" No answer. That's when I asked my mom if she was calling me. She said no. Yeah. So there you go. Real time experiences, things you're living around, and you just kind of get used to it. And like, I don't know, things are flying off shelves, and like, okay.
I mean, have you ever something like a voice? If you're saying you're doing a session, an ITC session, or you're doing a voice, you got your SB7, SBOC, whatever you're using, and you're putting it out there, and you hear in real time playback people talking, and when I usually set up in my house, for some reason when they come here, the first things is cuss words. I mean, they just cuss words. And then it started talking more rationally. There was you could hear names come out, or they'll say something like school or something like that. You hear that kind of stuff. But the weirdest thing that ever happened, I had 2 teams in the house at the same time, and I was just standing in the kitchen just watching. and the word Sally House came out, and it was weird. And then I was like, "Did I hear what I just thought I heard?" And everybody's like staring at it. I even had investigators that were doing other parts of the house come out and just like, I said, "Yeah, it's shocking." And where would that come from? So, I mean, I did not know what that was all about.
Yeah, maybe telling you to go to the Sally House.
Well, that's what we're getting ready to do this week. Because it just came to, well, I'm so fascinated with that place now because of what happened here that so Thursday night on a Petrie dish, we have a SEK Spirit Chasers coming on, and we're going to introduce them as a team out to everybody in the world. Because if you have not heard of them, that's what we're doing. And then Friday night, they're going to be doing a live investigation through Pun and ParaLanx, and we'll be doing a live panel investigation of the Sally House.
Oh, that's great. That's great. We'll be looking for that for sure.
Yes.
Because I don't think nobody's ever done that before. They do a live panel investigation before. So we're going to attempt it. We're going to see if we can do this.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I know. I'm glad to hear that. And getting back to the demonology, what are some cases where you felt like this is not a discarnate spirit, but a true demon, if you will, and why?
I as a paranormal, we don't disclose names or locations of anything.
Of course, please respect people's privacy.
Right. And like I said, I just got into the demonology. I'm learning because you have to learn both theologians and you have to learn demonology. You have to have light with dark. You have to have that contrast. If you don't, then you fall into the darkness of it. So I was studying theologians, and then I got into demonology. There was one case we just did recently. It was in, I'll tell you the name of the city, Slidell. It was he's a law enforcement profession, and he didn't call us. His mother did. Well, no, his aunt called us, and we went out there. And his mother, his fiance, and it was him there. He was to see a police officer. Usually they're big men. They're buff. They have to work out. They have to be able to do their job. This guy here, Barney Fife, could kick his ass. He was drained that much. He was hearing voices and things. So I asked him if he was, of course, if he was in need psychiatric care, and he's been, and they try to give him some medications, but he really wasn't diagnosed with anything because I was thinking schizophrenia possibly or something in that case.
Sure.
Until we did the investigation, and I was in the attic. We did S.O.S method, and I was in the attic, and I had a walkie-talkie, and I was asking questions through the walkie-talkie to the bathroom, because for some reason, when this gentleman would come home, he would run to the bathroom, and they have a big walk-in closet. He would shut the bathroom door, go into the walk-in closet, shut the closet door, and sleep in there. So I found that quite curious, and so we set up in that area to ask questions, and for some reason we came across a woman by the name of Monica, and she told us she was invited there. So I said, okay. So we kept asking questions, and of course she threatened me a couple of times. So I was going to bathe in blood and all this other stuff. And at that time, I actually felt the area that I was standing in the attic. It was about 10 degrees colder where I was standing than everywhere else. I even had someone up there said, put your hand in there, go whatever. And it was a little, for him, it was a little cooler, but it was like 10 degrees colder. I got on my right side, it felt like something like a bee sting on the bottom of my ankle, and then one on my arm. And I found that quite interesting. I got to the point where I was arguing with this thing because she got me so angry, but I had to step back and compose myself.
Sure.
But after all what I asked and the evidence that we captured, I believe it was a succubus.
Yeah. Wow. Was there any sexuality involved?
Yes.
Ah.
Wow. he had been with.
That's why he would go to the closet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's why he was sleeping in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there evidence of that sexuality? Like I have heard mixed stories on this sometimes, like something like an ectoplasm.
If we would have went back, right? If we would have went back, we would have went back because there was a little activity in the bedroom that we captured. But most of the activity was coming out of that bathroom closet area. Matter of fact, even the adjoining, right on the other side of the wall was the kitchen. I put a REM pod there, and this REM pod just kept going off, and it kept going off. And I'd go down and reset it. So I figured it was a bad battery or something. Change the battery out, put it there, and it stopped. And then we go back in the attic, and as soon as we get to the top of the attic, it would go off again. So there was something in that kitchen area that was actually triggering it. I took the mail reader. I didn't find any kind of electromagnetic fields in there. We checked to make sure the outlets, the stove, the refrigerator, that then wouldn't have anything to do with it. You have to be a skeptic doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And anything and everything could possibly have to ask all the questions. And if all the questions are answered, then it is what it is. So that's what we basically did. We checked everything.
Oh, the data would point that way, it would seem, right?
But the fiance, she didn't really care. She was there drinking and everything on the site. So it was like, and the mother was concerned because that was her son, but she didn't know what to do. And I said, well, we could try to do a cleansing. And I really had to do some more research on it because from what I'm being told that if you don't get rid of a succubus, it can come back and it's like 7-fold stronger. They bring back 7 more demons and stuff like that. And so you had to make sure once you banish it, it's gone. And so I was going to do some more investigation into it, but the fiance said no. She was content with it.
I wonder if she was tied into it. You said she drank. Do you think she might have had a drinking problem?
Yeah.
I think she was tied into it. I don't think she had so much of a drinking problem. I think she was just tied to this thing.
Oh.
Interesting. That's fascinating. I know we mentioned the entity earlier and that, the true story behind that. The mother had been an alcoholic and that was part of it. And most of the events, like she was beaten up and raped and things, happened while she was under the influence, but the kids saw it. So, things happened to her, but it seemed, I guess she had quit drinking after, and the phenomena, that was what got rid of it, was her, leaving the bottle down. So, sometimes people talk about alcohol and drugs being a portal to these things, to this other world. And I do believe it is. It changes your consciousness. And I think things happen.
I do want to say this, though, and if whoever's out there watching this, just because you have some things that's going in your house, because, man, during the COVID, I had people call me up. I got the devil in my house. What? I got a demon in here. It's all kind of word. And I would tell them, no, give your wife your credit card and it will go away. I made a joke of it because you have so many people tell you that, and you ask them a few questions, and they just keep persisting that it's demonic. But no, in the world, of course, like Kristen, good people, and who they are in life is who they're going to be in death. Me, I'm an asshole, so I'm going to be an asshole in death. So
apparently I am as well.
Okay.
Let's just think
you might have a free spirit, good spirit in your house, but you might also have someone that's there who's an asshole, a dick, whatever you want to call it. Just a negative person. And that person is going to be that's what they are. It's just it's not necessarily demonic, but it could be evil. Yeah,
or just bad. Just a shitty ghost. I think if you're a shitty person in life, you can be a shitty person in death. We ascribe to that as well, and believe that to be true. And I think most of the phenomena that's out there that seems negative is really discarnate spirits. I would think demons, or I don't even know if that's a great word for that, but entities that are more powerful, able to do more things, are a greater consciousness. There's something else entirely. We don't have a lot of experience with them, and I think they're very rare. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think a demon is, per se?
I think a demon to me, it's something that was never born,
Never human.
never human. Um, it has one purpose, and that purpose is to take you. And it's not. I'm just not saying take you down to the movie theater. I'm saying it's to take your life, and that's what I believe a demon is. It's not necessarily something evil, because evil is just what it is. It's evil. You can have an evil killer that passed away, and that's what it. But these things don't know right. They don't know. They know wrong, and it's just pure blackness. I guess it's the and if you've been doing it for a while, if you've been an investigator, you just know, just a feeling, that then that's the best instrument you can ever use as an investigator is you.
That's right. Your gut,
your instincts, and you can when you're dealing with something that's pure evil. I mean, pure blackness, and that's the first time I've seen things that came close to it. But that's the first time I've ever came that close to it, just the blackness like that. And that was at Succubus. So
That is spooky. That is spooky. I have a few comments out here I want to brush on. Laurie Ann Sweet says, just to clear the house, they had 2 demonic entities that were posing as children until we started to clear the house. Then they showed themselves, swiped at us, and fled. And I think I saw some of that video, Lorianne, and it was pretty cool. You had some fire going. If you put in the chat, what was in that? It was something that looked like a fry pan almost, if you will, and I'm sure it has a name, but it's on a long stick, and it was flaming very high, and you took it room to room, or someone on your investigation did. Very interesting.
That's what I told her. That's where you get to the place where they step into roles. They were supposed to be like, they're 2 children and.
Yeah, right. The children and the roles. That's another thing we talk about a lot, is a lot of these hauntings, almost have a folklore approach to them, because they're stepping into roles. The woman in white, the little kid in the graveyard, and that kind of thing. Every town has this, right? Every country around the world, there's women in white jumping off cliffs with their, scorned by their lover or whatever. It's almost, and then people see the apparition, like they step into a role because it's part of our knowledge, like they're taking that from us and will use that. And I also found that to be true in some demonic cases that were supposedly demonic, but I didn't have that feeling like you mentioned, where it's just pure black, and it just felt like, no, they're using the words, that we're getting the words in the spirit box, Beelzebub or whatever. And I didn't feel like we were talking to that at all. Another comment out here. This one's funny. Howard, do you have a credit card machine for a trigger device?
I do. I mean, actually, I even got a swipe thing. I put it on my phone, and I can just swipe it.
I like that. Give her the credit card.
Give me your credit card. That'd be your trigger device. You see, you give me your card, and I'll trigger whatever it is with that swiping device. One-time fee.
Lorian says, I think death is humbling for assholes. However, some choose to remain earthbound. Yeah, that seems to be the case. Scott says, dang, guess I'm going to be short in death too. Good one, Scott Wilson. Like that a lot. And Laurie clarifies the pan. She says the pan because fire sucks the energy into the pan. Oh, interesting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I've never heard of that. I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll send you a link to that video she did. It was really pretty neat.
Yeah.
And she says she has small children, Lorianne.
I think they were in somebody else's house and was an infestation. The presence identified themselves as children, but was something more.
The presence is just 2 children. Yes.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the one thing that freaks me out to death. I mean, I don't like them. It's porcelain dolls. And these things love to go into porcelain dolls. I mean, it's an empty vessel, and it looks human. Yeah. So what porcelain dolls? What it relates to? A lot of young girls and women. Women collect dolls too. So it has a wide variety of women. And then of course, you have men. Some men might collect a porcelain doll that's male porcelain dolls. But these things are empty vessels, and it's easy for them to take possession of these vessels. And of course, you hear your daughter or son or whatever playing with your daughter, whatever, sitting on the floor playing with it, and that's my imaginary friend. I would look into your imaginary friend. That's another thing. So,
All right, they're not all imaginary. The monster under the bed may well be that.
Yeah.
yes.
I think children are definitely more open to the phenomena than adults.
Absolutely.
Or they are.
We see that also in ufology, and we talked a lot about that. In fact, we were talking about Alien Abduction Answers, this documentary. Our guest last week was a gentleman named John Yost, who's a filmmaker, and he put together this wonderful documentary. We finally got to see it last night. And again, childhood experiences are prevalent, just like they are in the paranormal. Kristen and I had very haunted childhoods. Like, it was crazy. She got pushed downstairs. I had a story. I'm not going to get into it, but it was nuts, you know. And it was. I think it's the trigger for why you are interested in these things later in life. Like, you almost want to put the answers together, and the phenomenon is very similar. You know, you worked with MUFON. You mentioned. Do you see crossover phenomena between, say, ufology and the paranormal?
That's one of the things I've been looking into. I mean, as a paranormal investigator, you are a paranormal. You just don't go hunting spirit. You have to look at all areas of the paranormal field. And some of the things that we are looking into is actually spirit. You know, you have a spirit that comes in your home. Is that a real spirit? Could it be something that's interdimensional? Could it be an alien? You know, we don't know. Nobody's never actually looked. There's few people, but it's not looked into much. Where what we see as a spirit could be something that an alien could be portraying.
Right.
And that's where you have so many
to measure that, so it's hard to understand and get that information.
Right. It's the same thing with like the coincidences when you see a UFO. Usually, is a Bigfoot. There's a UFO. Usually, they had that out there. I've heard about that. The black-eyed children. You hear about that. I mean, there's so many things that's out there, that needs to be investigated. It's just not us. I mean, to me, I think we've proven in the paranormal field there is spirit. Now, what it is, the spirit, that's the next step. We need to go to that next step and start questioning and start testing and investigating those type of incidences that's going out there.
We totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do as well.
I touch on something we talked about a little bit on Thursday was Grant Cameron is a ufologist, researcher for many years, great researcher, talks about abductees telling him that the aliens told him they were presenting themselves from their memories and consciousness. And I touched on this a little bit earlier in our conversation. And I think that's really fascinating, you know, like with the roles and all of that, like somebody could see a gray, for instance, or a reptilian, and they're actually pulling that information, the entity, from that person's memory. So they're not really this thing. They're almost like a holographic version of it.
Right.
Their appearance is being created from what the person almost expects to see.
Well, if you want to get into UFO, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kristen.
No, I was going to say that's like Contact, the movie. That's what they did at the end when she finally got out there. Jodie Foster, they pulled it from her conscious,
right,
her memory, and projected it that way.
Her father. It was her father. Yeah.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah, watched that whole movie and it was 2 hours and come to find out the freaking alien was her dad. Really? Come on. Really? But if you want a good guest, I can get you a good guest, and he's well known in the UFO community. I don't know if you had him before. Is Mike Heston Rogers. He is a gentleman that was. Have you ever seen the movie Fire in the Sky? Travis Walton.
Yes.
Yes.
He's the best friend of Travis Walton.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, yeah.
And, he was there. He was the one that did the lie detector test. I think Patrick, what's his name? Robert Patrick played him in the movie.
Yeah, sure.
And
no, exactly what you mean.
He's from Snowflake, Arizona. He's not a recluse and all that stuff that as they portrayed him in the movie. No, he's a good guy, and he's a realist. He tells you like it is. If there's evidence, there's evidence. If there's not, then it's bullshit. I mean, that's the way Mike is. He's a real good guy. down to earth. But if you want him, I can see if I can get him to come on and do a show with y'all.
Not sure.
That would be
I
wonderful.
appreciate
Thank
it. We'll
you.
talk about that offline.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's willing to talk about the abduction of Travis Walton. He's willing to do whatever
Yeah.
y'all want to talk about.
Travis Walton, very interesting guy. You mentioned like a UFO and a Bigfoot occurring, and we're talking about like what they call portal areas, right? So you get these areas where there just seems to be all kinds of phenomena, right? Or a window area. Some people use that.
The Devil's Bermuda Triangle, Devil's Triangle. That's one area. There's a portal area with that.
Conjuring House up here, Rhode Island is considered one too. There's a lot of UFO phenomena. Andrea Parents talked a lot about alien
Alaska.
phenomena.
You have Alaska. You have off the coast of Asia. You have all these different. It's all ley lines. It's all basically, I believe, it's ley lines.
That's where I was going. So we think it's like a ley line thing. There's something about it that makes it different than maybe the family graveyard down the street or whatever.
And like what Scott just said, the movie The Fourth Kind. I don't think they never did find that child. It was abducted. The baby girl was abducted, I think, and they never did find that little kid, the little baby. So yeah, that was a real freaky movie. They're doing real time compared to what the actors were doing, and I mean, kudos to those actors for portraying it so well.
Absolutely.
Right.
But the evidence is there.
Into the consciousness of people too.
Yeah.
The appearance of UFOs and certain phenomena in the paranormal world have changed over the years, and it's always something that, like in the 1800s, the UFOs appeared to be Zeppelin-like because they had such things, or balloon-like with lights on it, and that changed over time. And did the UFO really change, or just the way we perceive it? It's fascinating stuff. We talk about archetypes and Carl Jung and things he wrote about.
Now you also have to remember that the government does a lot of work too.
These things could exist.
Yes.
And they hide a lot of technology from us that we have. And I've seen photos from the 60s of UFOs, and you look at it and say, that's a freaking stealth fighter.
I've said that too.
And that's what that is. I mean,
absolutely.
It's the same way.
What's going on now? We don't know. We don't know that Tic Tacs aren't our technology for sure. I don't think they are personally, but I mean, they could be, and that's a way of showing the rest of the world, like, look what we got, So yeah, it's hard to say. It's another mystery. Lorianne says the worst thing a parent can do is tell their kid that an apparition that they're seeing is a guardian angel. If it was your guardian angel, it would not be frightening them. Well, that's a very good point. If the kid's scared under the bed and you sit there and say, well, that's your guardian angel, and really something nefarious. No, that never good.
Could be a bad spirit, could be a good spirit. You never know.
Says King Petrie.
Hail me is what I saw that earlier. I'm like, oh my God, that is so funny. Hail me.
Well, I'm an evil person out there in the paranormal community, evidently. So go ahead and play the role to it. And matter of fact, I changed it. You was talking about this earlier, the chat room page, and it was, Unholy Trinity, Paranormal Swamp Talk, and Petrie Dish family group chat. And I said, what the heck with it? I might as well just go ahead and just change out the name and just hail me. And I put the little devil from them commercials from when they had the COVID, and 2021 was, they actually were meeting each other for the first time, and it was the girl. It was like supposed to be some kind of romantic thing for them and all that stuff, and that's what it was. It was the COVID meeting 2020 or 2020 or something like that. And
okay.
I don't know if you've seen those commercials, but it was funny as heck to me. I said, yeah, that's what I am. I'm that devil. So I use that as a profile pic.
I believe my name in there is still Haunted Bag of Squirrels. Yeah. Yes, that's me.
My pet name,
everybody.
for Kristen, which is such a
it's great. Name. I mean, everybody. That's what I want. I want everybody to come in and just to talk and hey, share ideas. And isn't that what Paraunity is about? Go in there.
Absolutely.
And I didn't want the bad stuff to come in. The bad, I just kept those people out, and I put the people in there that can actually get along and actually grow the community rather than tear it down.
Right.
And it's something that gets talked about a lot, but not really shown in action. And being Paraunity is what I'm talking about. Right. And that is something I have seen with yourself and Stephen and the whole community there And believe me, I've been on different radio networks and stuff before in the past, and man, there's so much backstabbing and BS that comes along with doing just the simplest things and just trying to have like a little show or something.
Right.
It's incredible, and I don't see that with you guys, and I love that fact.
Thank you.
We're very excited to be
Miss
part of it.
Courtney Peterson as well, and Stephen Woodward, and everybody. I love you guys.
Thank you.
So we're big fans.
And
Thank you. I mean, I'm fans of y'all, so there it goes. We just don't need to be fans. We just work together. That's all. be friends. Be friends.
Be
family.
Wrong, and
it is
instead of
family.
the pettiness that can come along with this stuff, and
that's why him and I are just a couple.
This is our paranormal team. So it is us.
It works.
This is Dark Horse Paranormal right here, and whoever's tagging along with us. We have friends that will go out with us and stuff, and we do it that way. But this is it because the team thing can also be full of drama as well.
Yeah.
And we have enough drama in our own lives. I mean,
Yeah, life is
child's
hard.
sick.
This just
This
always
is
something.
Yeah, it's
So,
always something.
This
So,
is
this is
something we
us.
look forward to doing.
Yeah, we
you know what I
enjoy
mean?
it.
It's an outlet and makes the days a little sweeter.
It does.
Until she gets a frying pan.
Yeah.
Who knew, right?
Yeah, I get the frying pan out and to try to banish me.
But could that be in a good way or bad way? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it could be a good way. I'm just saying it could.
It took me a while to get into this stuff, and she used to think, wow, because I also done some occult work and path work there, and as I believe, as well as ufology tie-ins with that. And she's like, oh, I got a sage after Chris goes.
Yeah, I used to do that. I'm like, sage out of my house, sage before you came in. I'm like, protecting
get
everything,
the demons.
salt in all the windows.
I don't know what you're doing, man. It took me a while to get her into this stuff, but once she was hooked, she was there, and we actually did a lot of stuff in her house, and we're getting EVPs and still do if we try, but we're trying to tone that down. Stop haunting our own damn houses, damn it.
Well, actually, my house, the spirits in my house needed to be heard, so that's how that started. They wanted to be heard and spoken to. So.
At least the admission to these paranormal events are a little cheaper than some of the other ones,
Right.
Open the front door. All right, here we go.
I mean, I love doing these shows. I do. I mean, I've been telling with Jackie for quite some time, for the last 8 months. I want out of it. It's just too much drama. It's too much BS. I want out of it. I'm tired of doing it. I'll just concentrate on doing my thing with my foundation. I'll concentrate doing my thing with the team, going on investigations, doing what I like, and just get away from podcasting. And every time I tell her that, she says, shut up. You're going to do it. You ain't quitting. So she forces me into all this stuff. So, I mean, I'll just vent. Then, I mean, I just go out there and on these shows and I just vent. On my shows, rather. I'm not going to disrespect you and your show, but as for me and the shows that I do, I don't disrespect my guests, and unless they disrespect us. But I mean, as a whole crew, if they say something negative, then I question them. But as for if I had y'all on as guests, no, I couldn't do that. We're all working as a team, and we'll say some funny things. I'll put myself down before I put anybody else down,
Yes.
And I make light of it. I think
you got to have a sense of humor, for sure, and laugh be able to laugh at yourself, and we don't really bag on people unless they're outright doing something fake. And what's the guy who does the spirit box fake shit on YouTube?
God,
I can't stand him.
Yeah,
his name is God.
No, not God.
No, but don't get him going with it. It's terrible. And I totally blocked his name.
He's been proven that he does like the celebrity thing. So as soon as a celebrity dies, he's like right there doing a spirit box session that evening.
Yeah.
And
it rhymes with what? Oh,
but
I forget.
He was proven to be fake because some of the things the spirits were saying were taken from interviews that they had done.
That's horrible.
And he was combining it with his music. And that just brings down my whole thing. I love spirit box stuff and ITC and the history of ITC, and I believe in it. And it's just a medium, and whatever reason they have the ability to manipulate any kind of tool, really. But it's a wonderful one, and I get a lot of data that way. We do, and to have somebody out there with a lot of views,
it makes us all who get data look
putting fake data out there for the masses.
and it's
It
not
just
right.
brings the whole thing down.
And that's what we're out here for. It's credibility. I mean, we have to be credible investigators. If not, so one person puts that fake piece of information out, it makes everybody look like
Exactly.
It does. It makes the whole
Exactly.
thing just look fake.
Right.
Okay, that radio stuff is not real. That's what the average person says.
Yeah, so they won't bother.
Mine's not real. I'm gonna tell you. I put disclaimers. That's why all my posters have NC-17 on it. I mean, we go from every direction. I mean, we ask those questions on especially the Petrie dish, and especially on Unholy Trinity. Those questions that you wouldn't think to ask, even as a paranormal investigator, you wouldn't ask. And of course, you've seen the one with the VD, with the ghost and all that earlier in the show. We did that. That show was in a can months ago. we already talked about that. Venereal. We went as far as with Bigfoot, and what kind of when she's menstruating, what kind, what does she use? Like for a tampon, and we found out it's cottonwood. We found out does Mr. Bigfoot step out on Mrs. Bigfoot? Because you don't know are they couples, or do they have a male and female, or do they? It's just like animals where they just, if they find whatever, that's what it is. So of course we found out they do cohabitate together, and Mrs. Bigfoot pretty much wears the shoes in that family, and we went all over. We even had a Bigfoot on the show. We had a Bigfoot show, and she came out with everything. Pretty Bigfoot too. She had, a little ribbon in her hair and everything. Oh yeah, it was a good show. So we ask everything. There's no question that's taboo. No.
Well, that's good. I think everything should be asked. And it was Huff was the guy that I was referring to before.
Oh, Huff.
Yeah.
Heard that name.
Yeah.
Not Huff Paranormal, but
there is. We call it that too. It never going to be allowed on our show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into him.
Yeah, look into that.
Oh, it's awful.
Not to start drama, but it's well documented that he fakes it.
You would never know first name, huh?
I think it's Steven.
Yeah, it's Steven.
Yeah, he's got a million video YouTube.
Is it PH or is it or with a V?
I think it's a PH, but I'm not 100%. Anyways, I don't want to give him too much attention. Just that there are people that fake it, and this is just like psychics and mediums. And then we had the spiritualist movement in America in the late 1800s, early 1900s. There were fakes. There were real people doing it too. Wonderful thing about it is that people were interested. It was an entertainment outlet for a lot of people to go see a medium or be part of a seance. And while I think those things are valid and sometimes have great results. I've seen some pretty interesting stuff. A lot of people also fake it, and that's well known. They were spitting up towels and silly things and funny lighting. I'm sure you've seen those old black and white pictures of the seances and mediums. So there's always some aspect of it that is trying to fake it and just make money.
Yeah, make it look like ectoplasm or something.
You're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The origins of ectoplasm. Yeah. Although,
I've never seen it. Never seen it.
Things. Yeah, and I think it's interesting, interesting as hell.
But like I said, there's no questions that are taboo on our shows. We ask anything and everything. Our shows is not for, you had to have, a special taste for that type of show. It's just like, you see a show that's basically an informative, which is good. It's informative. It's light. It's fun. And you see those types of shows out there, but then we take it to the extreme, and nobody's done that before. And we want to make it entertaining too, because my belief is if you make somebody laugh, they're going to listen to what you have to say. And it could be a joke one part, and then the following part is I'm teaching you something. Hey, look, this is what, instead of coming on a screen and saying, this is the K2 meter. It has many lights upon it. You push this button. It gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
A lot of shows are dry. I agree. We try to be a little bit funny. Now, we don't go as far as you.
Yeah.
But I definitely wanted to add, a humor aspect to it. I'm as influenced by Howard Stern as I am Art Bell doing this stuff. I would listen to Howard commuting to work 2 hours every day for years. You know what I mean? And I just, this is great radio. It's really funny. It's intriguing. And it was fascinating how fast the commute would go by once you fell into it and you're just listening to this stuff and these voices and laughing my ass off. And I think that's great. And I love what you're doing. We do. We like the
I love
show.
what y'all doing. I love what y'all doing. I mean, that's why I said I've cut that one show that one time. First show, I said, I don't know about these. And I said, no, I'm gonna go give it a second look. And I was like, oh wow, they are. It's interesting. I like it. And I started watching ever since.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we appreciate that, and we enjoy yours as well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you let us know when are your shows on, and where can people find you best?
On Wednesday nights we have at 8:00 Central. It's Paranormal Swamp Talk, and again that's host Mr. Scotty. You see him down there, Scotty Too Hottie Wilson, and Miss Christy Baggett, and that's you can find those on ParaLanx and on Paranormal Swamp Investigation page, and also It's Haunted, and that's a platform that David Childers and Chris, what was Chris's last name? I can't think of his name now. I can save myself. I see his face though. They came up with a platform and they have their shows on their platform. So we
is that on Facebook?
It's on Facebook. It's on all these on Facebook. Also, you have it on my LinkedIn page, and on YouTube also on all the shows. Then we have the Petrie Dish, and those hosts are myself, Chad Candy, and Jackie Harmon. Y'all going to be seeing a lot of Jackie because she's starting some shows up pretty soon. A couple of them actually, and they're not necessarily paranormal. I think one of them's called Studio 13, and the other one's called Partners in Crime, which is more like a crime show type thing.
Nice.
But that's on 8:00 Central. That's on Paranormal Swamp Investigations page and ParaLanx. Then we have the Holy Trinity, and that's on 9:30 Central Time, because we really go to the extreme with that one. It's very foul, and we don't start off that way, but it winds up that way. We have a topic, and we'll maybe deal with that topic for about 5 minutes, and then after that, it's all hands on deck. It could be anything and everything, but that comes on 9:30 Central Time, and all these shows are 2 hours, and that's on ParaLanx, It's Haunted, and Paranormal Swamp Investigations pages also, as well as the LinkedIn and YouTube pages.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Well, this has been a great talk.
Yes.
We've had a lot of fun talking with you.
Thank you.
You're a great guy. You do a lot of charitable work. We know that.
You do.
And I think that's super honorable. Are there any charities you'd like to mention?
Mm-hmm, please.
Well, of course, my charity, the Jessica Marie Petrie Foundation, and it's a foundation that we help support pregnant women who are suffering from prenatal, postpartum depression, and mental illnesses. We have programs that we're still young. We're trying to get programs now, the ones I have in mind, to help pregnant women find and get the help that they need and deserve. Because if it was your mother and she's pregnant with you, would you want her to get help?
Absolutely.
And then everybody turns their nose up at women, and especially if they're pregnant, it's like, ooh, you stay away from. But no, that's what we're here for. I'm jumping head first and head, feet, everything. I'm in it for the long haul.
That's amazing.
Then of course, suicide prevention. That's a big one with me. Postpartum Support International. I'm into that. Survivors of Suicide. Compassionate Friends. N.A.M.I. I'm on the board. Well, I'm on N.A.M.I. on federal, state, and local levels, and that's the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And then what else? I think that's about it. Matter of fact, if you go to my page, my personal page, and it's not, everybody can see it. It's not blocked off to anybody or anything. If you pull my name up, you can see whatever I post. And I did a bio recently, so it tells you my whole life story in that Bible. So I can't get no more transparent than that unless you move in with me. So, and when you do, you have to pay.
I like
some of
Howie,
the-
but we're good.
You're gonna pay some of that electric bill.
Because I would like that. I would love to do an investigation with you
Most
sometime,
definitely.
and hopefully our paths will cross. It's one of these events. Stephen Woodward did mention Howard Pitre. What about the 14th Paradox show?
That's what we're going to actually talk about, and I got to talk to my host about that because we haven't actually done a show fully together yet. But it's going to be Paranormal Swamp Talk presents the 14th Paradox.
Excellent.
Great.
Excellent. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you.
And stick around. I'm going to take you off the stream. We're just going to wrap things up.
Sure.
It's been a wonderful day and a wonderful interview. And it is our honor to talk to you. I love
Thank
what you're
you.
doing out
And,
there.
it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. All right. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Check out all Howie's shows and all the shows on those networks that were mentioned, especially the ParaLanx.
Yes.
'Cause we're on there broadcasting as well.
I
And,
wanted to also thank Courtney Peterson again for helping through the chat. My page is just, I think it's just the
computer's bad.
computer.
We know.
I'm about
Gotta
to
get
throw
it
it out the window.
We talk about it
next to
every
me.
week. We're gonna throw that away and recycle it
Yeah,
at
so
some
thank
point
you,
and-
Courtney.
and
Really
help
appreciate
help humanity by recycling that computer. And I also want to give a nice shout out to our friends at the Paranormal UK Radio Network who received this as a podcast and audio on Wednesday, and we appreciate your support as well. So to everyone out there, enjoy the hell out of your weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday. Next Thursday, we're talking to Greg Koss,
Yes.
Shadow Hunters Paranormal, and he's a
Can't wait.
regular on a lot of these shows, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. We love Greg, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So until then, au revoir.
Thank you.
Stay spooky or some other corny thing.